What's up, normies? It's your favorite monster, AneliMonsteR here, back with another video. Today's video is primarily based on Venus McFlytrap from Monster High and will give you an insight into her cultural backstory, characteristic traits, and doll designs. So you could basically say that after watching this video, you'll know everything about your favorite plant monster, Venus McFlytrap. To make it clear, this video will be about Venus and her only. It's a video series of mine where I create character-dedicated videos. So if you have a Monster High character you want to know more about, leave their name in the comment section and I'll possibly create a video about them in the future. I already made such videos for characters like Katrine Lemieux and Jennifer Long. Make sure to check them out after this video. I mainly want to make this video because a collector edition Venus is coming out soon on Mattel Creations website. I thought this video would be perfect for this occasion and would introduce you all to the character a bit more. This way you can form an opinion about whether you need the doll or not, because maybe after watching this video you will have a better understanding of the character and perhaps an emotional connection to her. I will also discuss all of the Venus dolls that have been released so far and of course also talk about the upcoming doll. But without further ado, let's start with today's video. First of all, I really like to look into the monster history, so to speak, the background of the character. So I asked myself, what kind of plant monster is Venus? And which plant monster is the oldest to begin with? This is a fun question that gets to the bottom of the roots of the fictional plant monsters. Pinpointing the absolute oldest is tricky, as some early examples might be debated. However, a strong contender for one of the earliest and most influential plant monsters is the mandrake. If you believe it or not, its root is shaped like a little human. According to an ancient legend, when the plant would be pulled from the ground, it would scream, killing everyone who heard it. Its poisonous nature made it a subject of both fear and fascination. The mandrake is a large-leaved plant with a strong root and the leaves are arranged in rosettes. The plant produces small round berries from pretty violet blue flowers, which have been referred to as Satan's apples. In fact, the late summer fruits give off a strongly apple-like aroma, which is pretty scary to me at least. Now, all parts of the mandrake plant contain certain alkaloids that produce hallucinogenic effects and laxative effects. A blurred vision, dry mouth, dizziness, vomiting, and diarrhea are common initial symptoms. Severe poisoning results in a slowing of the heartbeat and often causes death. It is best to admire the plant and not more. Early depictions in folklore definitely presented as a plant with dangerous, even monstrous qualities, though it couldn't move. The mandrake wasn't typically depicted as eating flesh in early lore, but its dangerous human-like form and the death associated with it do introduce it as an early plant monster of some sorts. The idea of flesh-eating plants that move and attack arose in the late 19th century. This is tied to the Victorian era's fascination with the natural world and the growing scientific understanding of the diversity of plants and animals, including carnivorous plants like the Venus flytrap. It is also tied to the rise of science fiction as a literary genre, which explored the potential dangers of the unknown in science and nature. Our ghoul Venus is often depicted with Venus plants. They are mainly reflected in her design, and she also resembles the Venus plant somewhat. Also, her name is literally Venus. Now, there are definitely depictions of Venus flytraps as plant monsters. It's actually a popular trope. While the general idea of monstrous plants has existed for a long time, the movie and musical Little Shop of Horrors from 1960 is largely responsible for making the Venus flytrap a popular plant monster type. Venus McFlytrap is a 2012 introduced and all-around character. She is a plant monster and an eco-punk girl who is the head of the environmental club. Sometimes Venus will be described as chaotic, loud, and in your face. However, Venus is also a down-to-earth girl, kind and wholehearted who lives a peaceful high school life. And if there is one thing that remains constant between her two personas, it has to be her love for nature. Venus is extremely devoted to saving the environment, particularly the flora, and she gets extremely passionate about this. She can usually be seen handing out flyers and organizing eco-friendly activities. She's a powerful plant monster with powers that include the ability to grow many kinds of flora, especially vines from earth, through her body. Also, when Venus exhales an amount of special pollen from her mouth on a person, she can manipulate their thoughts and actions, but she can do this only with one person at a time. She is aware mind control is a questionable practice, but she still does it if she feels the cause is worthy. As a plant herself, she can communicate and understand emotions from other plant life that passes by. She can additionally summon and communicate with Mother Nature, which she does whenever she needs advice. Also, Venus is the oldest of her siblings. She has several brothers whom are years younger than her. They look up to her and miss her when she's gone. Of course, this is only about the Venus from the first generation. The Venus from the third generation has completely different characteristics and is very different from the one from the first generation. That's why today it's just about the Venus from the first generation. Now let's take a closer look at her dolls. As you can see, Venus had 12 doll releases in the first generation, and then she had 3 more in the second generation, and she only recently came back in the third one with 2 more releases. Now the question is, what runs through Venus doll designs? Are there certain patterns or cuts that have a specific meaning? I would like to analyze this with you now and get to the bottom of it. Venus's dolls always have a shaved side on their head. Most of the times it's a side cut, but one time it has also been an undercut. Venus actually told us about her story of how she got her haircut in her diary. She said that monster aphids infested her entire class one time, but instead of using a nasty shampoo or letting her mom comb them out of her hair to get rid of them, she completely trimmed her hair to a buzz cut. She really liked the look of it and therefore kept it on one side. Most of Venus's dolls have a similar pattern on their clothing. They are mostly vines and Venus flytraps. Once in the Ghoul's Night Out line, she also looked like a rose. The entire design was based on the rose blossom. The association of Venus flytraps with roses, while not botanically accurate, is common and likely comes from a combination of symbolism and artistry. The rose, with its traditional connotations of love and beauty, contrasts sharply with the flytrap's carnivorous nature, highlighting the duality of nature. Both roses and Venus flytraps are sometimes associated with feminine imagery, though in very different contexts. The rose is often tied to traditional feminine beauty, while the flytrap can represent a more confident or even dangerous feminine power. Combining them can create a complex and intriguing visual, which happened for the Ghoul's Night Out doll. And sometimes an artist might simply find that the geometric shape of a rose complements the spiky edges of a Venus flytrap visually. Now, moving away from the overall designs, let's dive more into some details. Venus has 2 releases that wear safety pin earrings, which are pretty meaningful fashion. Safety pin jewelry has become a form of activism promoting inclusivity, which I find very cool. Before I talk about the Venus doll that will be coming out soon, I would like to talk about sculpting details again. Venus's dolls have leafy structures on their hands and leaf-like ears, which is quite unique and can only be found on Venus dolls. She also has several teeth that are very noticeable. And all of these sculpting details can be found not only on the G1 Venus dolls, but also on the dolls from other generations. Finally, I would like to talk about the Venus doll, which will be released soon on Mattel Creations. This doll stands out not only because of her playful makeup, but also the little meaningful elements in her design. Here's my opinion on the doll. I think the doll has a solid design. I think the hair is a bit weak, especially because Venus always had her signature hairstyle with the shaved side, and we don't have that anymore. The outfit is also a bit weaker. I would have liked more fabric. The materials used on her look very high quality, but that alone doesn't make the difference. Also, I don't mind the denim, which some people complain about. I actually think the color suits her eyes very well. Strong elements for me are the doll's makeup, the vines going around her waist, and the shoes. Personally, I particularly like that the designers used the flower of a Venus flytrap in a Venus design for the first time ever. The flowers can be seen both next to the doll's eyes and in the vines going around her waist. The shoes are simply a masterpiece. They look like a greenhouse with a vine climbing out of it, which is just awesome. I also like the texture of her tights, as this is the first time we've seen anything like that. Despite there being little fabric on the doll itself, I think the designers put a lot of effort into her. I will definitely get the doll. How about you? Now we have reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to see more videos like this, then subscribe to my channel. Please let me know in the comments what you think of Venus McFlytrap. and I'll hopefully see you next time again. Bye!